Let me start by saying that I absolutely loved this fight. Really looking forward to this one. Hope it gets made. I understand it's very, very close to being made, but not officially announced yet. Now, I've been on various forums and news sites today, and I've been disappointed because this fight's seemingly received a bit of a mixed reaction. I'll touch on why briefly ahead of talking about why I like it, but the mixed reaction seems to be that Bundu is not viewed as a legitimate threat. He's not viewed as a step up. He's not well known enough. The guy has spent the majority of his career fighting in Italy. UK fans know him for his performances over the last year. Fought in Germany as well, I believe, at some point. But realistically, he's not been a sort of globe-trotting fighter. He hasn't had successes in America as of yet. But the fact that he isn't, as well known to the public as some of Thurman's old opponents, Soto Carras, Diaz, the fact that they're not as well known as this type of fighter doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an easier fight. There's other criticisms as well that people say. They say that Bundu can't punch. He isn't a big hitter like Thurman. It's not going to be a level playing field in that sense. And yeah, it's probably fair to say that Bundu isn't a puncher in the same league as Thurman. However, if you look at his fights he's had in the UK, he stopped Lee Purdy and he dropped Frankie Gavin en route to winning both of those fights. Now, I think with Bundu, in my opinion, he's a very, very, very high stamina fighter. What he brings to the table is exceptional fitness, exceptional work rate. He'll throw a huge amount of punches every round. He's very, very relentless. Awkward opponent, very awkward. He will really get inside and try and rough an opponent up. If you look down his record, it is no coincidence the amount of times he wins fights by technical decision. Bundu is a rough opponent. He's going to cause problems for you. He'll be in there in close, making it as rough and as unpleasant as possible. He also brings desire. He's a guy, we must remember, the fact he's 39 years old is one thing, but he's had 33 fights and he's currently unbeaten. Bundu is probably someone who hasn't made superstar wealth throughout his career, who's only now starting to do well for himself financially and has the potential to earn some real big money next year with a win here. So don't count him out. He's an unbeaten fighter. He's got desire. He's got potential to earn big money and get big fights off the back of this. He's very awkward, very fit, very relentless. He can rough an opponent up. He brings a lot to the table. Now, I appreciate he doesn't have the sort of status as a Soto Carras or as a Julio Diaz, one of these type of guys. But in my opinion, this is probably Keith Thurman's hardest opponent that he's been in with. Diego Chavez was a decent opponent. I think when they fought, Chavez was unbeaten. But let's be honest, Carras had lost 8 times. Diaz had lost 9 times when they stepped up. Even though it's a fight, Thurman, even though these guys are decent level operators, they're guys who've lost on multiple occasions, 17 times between the two of them, and they were brought in to lose to Thurman, whereas this guy's coming with, real desire to win, in my opinion. I really like it. I think it's competitive. I think Bundu is the real deal. He's going to ask questions of Keith Thurman, and I think it's a real step in the right direction, and it's a step up fight for Thurman, in my opinion. The question, I guess you could say, is whilst there are reasons why Bundu is a realistic and decent opponent, is he in the same league of Thurman? He certainly doesn't look as attractive boxing as Thurman does. Visually and aesthetically, Thurman, he looks like he punches so hard and he punches so fast, and the combos he throws are so pretty. You don't really get that with Leonard Bundu to the same extent. But Bundu's a very experienced, wily veteran never lost. You know, hugely fit, hugely durable. This is a real test for Keith Thurman. I've read conflicting reports as to whether this is an eliminator or a final eliminator for the IBF welterweight belt, which Kell Brook holds. So interesting to see if these guys are going to be installed as the mandatory. IBF are usually quite hot on mandatories, so you would assume that the winner of this will be fighting Kell Brook, you know, in the next sort of 9 months or so. So we say there might be time for Brook to do one voluntary in between, but you know, we'll see what happens there. What I would say is Leonard Bundu was brought in to lose to Lee Purdy. He was brought in as a credible opponent for Lee Purdy, who was looking to bounce back after a loss. He was then brought in to lose to Frankie Gavin, who people in the UK viewed as the next big thing. And you know, oh, this guy, you know, beat Lee Purdy, let's put Frankie Gavin with him and make Gavin look a level above Purdy. Well, that didn't happen either. It was a close fight, but Gavin got dropped and beaten in that fight. Keith Thurman, on class, on pedigree, you expect him to win this fight, but Bundu's going to ask questions. This is a real entertaining fight, and I for one would probably rather see this than see you know, Thurman in with another type of opponent at welterweight, you know, like a Paulie Malignaggi, someone who's got a name, who's got a career background, but isn't going to come with, you know, the real will to win, in my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching. I think this is a good fight. I'm interested to hear people's thoughts.